Hi guys, Johnny, Mr. Forex Fire. It is. Let's take a look. It is Wednesday, Thursday, sorry. Thursday, in fact, Thursday, the 12th of December. So we can see on the liquidity, the New York AM, the New York lunch, the New York PM, and the Asian session has all been swept on the CAD JPY. So we're just going to draw these fibs in, and we can also go down that 5 minutes. Let's have a look at the GU and the Euro USD. So at the minute, we've got the similar sort of process. We've come out the Asian session, the New York lunch, the New York AM yesterday, and the Asian high of Wednesday. So this candle hasn't quite finished. There's another 30 odd seconds left, but we can still put this in. That's on the Euro. What we'll do is we'll wait for this candle to finish. Not that I'll be following it much. It just I'm only looking at this simply because it's swept out of here, but it hasn't really engulfed on a displacement, to be fair. With 3, 2, 1. So I'll just keep a monitor on that. The EU again, we have swept out of the Asian, obviously, the New York lunch, New York EM, and the London of yesterday, and we could be heading towards the Asian of yesterday, but I'm mostly interested in this. Just put the alert on this one here. We do have some good targets down on the bottom here as well. Plenty of liquidity on the downside. Let's take a look at the currency strength though. I'm looking at the CAD and the JPY. I'm looking for obviously sells on the CAD JPY. So just let this load up. The CAD, pretty weak, so is the JPY, to be fair. The Euro is quite strong at the moment. The GBP is just mediocre. The USD is pretty weak. So there is PPI news later on today as well, to be fair. But again, we'll just wait and see what happens. Well, I'm not going to be doing any New York sessions, that's for sure. No New York session today due to that news event. So the Euro, we're not watching at the minute. We'll keep an eye on the GBP USD, and we'll keep an eye on the CAD JPY. So we've got the separation candle after we've had the breakdown of this. We do have around about 15 pips on that. If we get the touch into here, we've had plenty of small momentum, if that makes sense. Inside of this level low, we do have a fair value, which is up here. And the rest of the liquidity is pretty efficient, to be fair. So down from here, down to here, there's liquidity because each candle, when it pulls back, has its own liquidity area, and we're just starting to do a market structure into these areas. So we'll just be mindful of what we're doing. We do need to touch on here before we go into the sell. And again, when we do look for the sell, we look for the candle to be bullish, and then we need the secondary candle to be a bearish engulfing, a bit like that, you know. But we'll just wait and see what happens with this. And again, we'll go at that the GU. We're just going to follow the price. That would still be on the 15-minute because obviously we haven't gotten any retracements yet. I'll pause the video. I'll be back in a short while, guys. Right, so we're getting the retracement back into the 50%. What, not quite there, but we're heading towards there. We're about 3.9 pips away. The GU, again, we are still on this leg here. The Euro USD is just, it's still strengthening the Euro, to be fair. So at the moment, all eyes is on the card JPY. Like I said, we'll run through this again. The reason we've got this is simply because all of this liquidity from yesterday that's residing in here, this yellow box, okay? We can see we've got the Asian high of through the night. We've got yesterday's New York PM session high. We've got the New York lunch hour of yesterday, and we've got the New York AM session of yesterday. And you may even want to include the London of yesterday. So all of this has been swept right there, okay? And then we got the displacement coming back in. And when that displacement came in, okay, we can see price has came and tested into that FVG. Okay, so price is swept outside of this box. Okay, as it's swept out of it in all these zones, it's done a liquidity sweep. It's came back in to test into the order block, not the order block there, the fair value gap, which is obviously on the Asian high as well. So there's every chance this could be a continuation, to be fair. But we're just looking at where liquidity is residing at the moment. We'll just get rid of some of the mess just so we're not going to confuse ourselves. We can see we've got the true day open down here. So this is the open of Asia from last night. Okay, so we've got liquidity here. We've also got further down inside of this before we get an entry. We do have areas of imbalance as well. We also have the Asian low. But underneath that, we also have the New York AM session low of yesterday, the true day open of yesterday as well. Inside of that, there is also liquidity inside of that there with the imbalance and fair value of that there. So there's plenty of liquidity on the downside. You've also got what we call an FU wick here, which coincides with the London low as well. So you can see we're just looking and seeing where all these liquidity areas are. But for now, this is the momentum candle, as I call them. Just bear with me, guys. I've got someone at the door. As I say, this is the momentum candle. This is where we are currently. We're priced live, okay? We swept out of the zones here and all of this, swept and took the liquidity. We come back in to create it. While we've created it, making a higher low, we've tapped into the mitigation of the FVG here. The momentum candle now is right here. It's residing within the 50% and the zero, which is just before the equilibrium. If we get a tap into that, I will then drop it down to the 1 minute to see if we can get the entry, which we will be waiting for a candle structure like this. Okay, so I'm just going to check the GBP one more time. Prices melting on this, so we might just ignore this one for the day and just concentrate on that card JPY on the 15-minute on the euro. The euro is dropping as well. So what we'll do is we'll just tap this in as well. We've got 3 minutes left of price on this. And we'll just keep an eye on them all. In fact, but the card is the one that we're interested in at this given time. Okay. So unless the alert goes off, I'll be back in a short while, guys. Right, so what we've got here, guys, is we are up to the 50% area of this candle right here. So we can drop it down to the 1 minute to wait for this entry. So again, the conditions that you're waiting for on this. I'll just get this up on here. You're waiting for that bullish candle there like that. to be superseded with a bearish engulfing. Okay, and this is on the 1 minute. So again, I want to look at this here. We're about 16 pips, but we might try. I think we'll try for 5 pips. Go on here. We'll go for 5, and we'll see it 10, and we'll go 0.25. I've entered that a little bit too early, to be fair. So I've made a mistake there. I just went and clicked the wrong bloody thing. Not to worry, we were waiting for this to come down and sell into here. And I went and clicked the wrong button by mistake, so I do apologise. If you just bear with me, guys, I'll just pause the video. We'll come back in a second when this candle has done what it needs to do here. Right, sorry, guys, my apologies. Having 2 young kids and having to do these recordings on a morning is playing havoc. You'll notice on here, I've done a major mess up there. Like I said, I've got 2 kids. The wife's at work early today, so I've had to sort of hold the fort a bit. But I've made a boo-boo by clicking the sell button, and I hit that rather than doing the 0.25%. I'll put a 29% risk, and I clicked the sell button by accident, and the parameters went, and it sort of knocked up the account that I'm doing on this. However, let's forget about that at the moment. I'll just need to reset this on another video. Okay, what we can see is if we go back on the CAD JPY, we just mentioned why I'm getting in on this. We have had the zone here. All of this has been swept with a high here. Okay, so what we are seeing is, I'll just get rid of this. I don't want to make any more mistakes, to be fair. We swept the high here, the 15-minute, the displacement coming in high to the low here. We took it down to the 15, the 5-minute. We come in, we touched into the area. Okay, we touched into the area here. We took it down to the 1 minute. When we take it into the 1 minute, we are waiting for the bullish followed by the bearish engulfing. We can see the top, looking for the bullish candle, bullish candle, followed by a bearish engulfing. We would have had an entry here. However, I thought we were just about to get the bearishness here. I clicked on the sell, and like I say, I accidentally put in 29% of the account. And when I'd done that with 2 or 3 seconds left, the candle shot up. So my fault, my bad. However, there is a setup here. It is in one at the minute. It just means I'll continue with the video here. And the next time we come on a session, I'll just have to reset the balance on this, to be fair. At the minute, we're looking for a 1 to 2 low-hanging fruit. This would be the take partial. Like I said, guys, when I do these, I show you everything. The losses, the wins, the break evens, and even when I balls up. I'm not going to edit anything. I'm not that kind of person. Even if this one comes out and stops me out at a loss, I'm still going to put this video up to show, because I just like to vlog everything that happens. And yeah, you've just seen there that's happened this morning with regard to me making that boo-boo. Let's go to the 15-minute. We'll take a look at the GBP USD. The GBP USD, it's melting still. We'll go to the Euro USD. Again, we'll follow the price down. And then what we'll do is we'll come into the 5-minute, because we're just about to get a separation candle. We'll set an alert. So again, the momentum, what we're seeing here, the momentum here Okay, this is a momentum candle. It's now a separation candle. Why is it a separation candle? Well, it's simply because it hasn't touched the equilibrium and it hasn't broke the low. Okay, so this next candle that's happening now, we want to see it touch into the 50%. Then we take it to the 1 minute, and then we anticipate the bullish candle followed by the bearish engulfing, and we'll look for that entry. Okay. So again, if price decides on this candle that it wants to fluctuate, it goes up and down, and then it wants to break, we just follow the price. Okay. And again, similar with regards to what we're seeing on this here. We've had the low. It's confirmed as a low because this is lower than the one to the left and the one to the right. Okay, so at the moment we've had the separation candle. This here is the momentum candle. Again, we wait for it either touch for us to get into the one minute for the trigger point, or if it breaks below here, we just follow the price again. Okay, so again, sorry for that mishap that I had earlier on this, but the condition is in on that 1 minute now. What we're doing is we're just following this to see if we would have had a trade. So I do apologize for that slight mistake that I had earlier. I'll just reset this from maybe next week, because I don't think I'll be trading it tomorrow. In fact, we'll be coming up to Christmas soon. So it is what it is, and these things happen. We'll just see we can come down to the first take partial area. What I also want to do as well, guys, okay, we'll take a look at what is on offer further down below as well. Okay, so you would have been in here. You've got the true day open, which would be a 1 to 2.8. You have the imbalance, which was down here, which is a 1 to 3.54. But also the Asian, you've got the Asian low, which would be 1 to 4.5. Okay, so I'll just leave this on this side here to see what it's doing. Let's take a look inside of the price. The price efficiency within this range. Okay, we'll see what's going on within that. We've got the wicks where they're holding liquidity here. There's really no fair value gaps below here. So the only thing I can say which has, where there's a slight fair value gap here, you can see very, very minute, you know, you go from there to there. You see that slight differential. So you've got liquidity on this candle low. You've got fair value there. That fair value in the 1 to 2 runs spot on to 50% of my 1 to 2, to be fair. Okay, so again, we've got the setup there. We're just looking to see where the liquidity resides. I'm just going to get rid of that on the top end. And like I said, we'll pause video. We'll come back in a moment. We're just going to see what happens. It might be on this one here, on the GU and the EU. We might be discounting them this morning, and we'll just concentrate on this. So once again, guys, I do apologize on this boo-boo with regards to hitting that click button for the sell and this silly mistake. I had too much going on in the background. Distractions. This is a perfect example why you need to switch everything off and only trade when you've got no distractions, to be fair. Okay, like I say, I'm not going to hide behind anything and edit anything. I'm not like that. It is what it is. We in on a trade now. We'll see what happens with it. I'll be back in due course. And look at this, guys. We've hit the take partial area. So if I hadn't made that boo-boo earlier, we could have had the account back to where we needed it to be. It is what it is. But again, this is just showing, all mistakes aside, this is just showing that the system works, basically. It's just showing that the system does work. I just want to make this into, it's easier if I make this into a darker green, because then we can see exactly what's going on with this. And let's see over that. So again, a nice one-to-one area there now. Again, on here, we could go for further targets, to be fair. We could go for the further targets, most certainly. Again, the entry would have been up here. Perfect example of the bullish candle after the 50% equilibrium discounted area and then the bearish engulfing. Little to no drawdown, guys. You know what I mean? This is what I love about this. Little to no drawdown. You technically, when you hit that take partial area, you've got a couple of options. You could be risk-free by moving the SL to break even and letting it run to the 1 to 2 without taking partial, or you could take a partial off and reduce the risk if you wanted to, and leave the SL where it's at. This is entirely up to the individual in the trader that is using the system. But for me, this system is huge. I've always I'm gonna give my analogy on everything at the minute, right? So I've tried ICT stuff, okay, in the way he describes it and the way he tells you to get in on things. And for me, it's been very subjective and they've never worked. I've never been successful using the way he does it and the way he tells you to do it. I've looked at the stuff. I agree with some of the stuff that he comes up with, and the concepts, they are not his. They don't originate from him. They are taken from other methods from years back. He's just sort of regurgitated like what most people do. Because at the end of the day, a price is just going to do what it needs to do with regards to liquidity. Okay, highs and lows, 50% of equilibriums and things like that, imbalance mitigation. It all does the same. There's no sort of holy grail and nothing that is different to the next strategy or method. They all do the same. It hunts for where the price lays within liquidity. And from the way I'm doing this, where I'm doing a 15-minute and I'm just looking at the sessions, that's where the key is. The sessions key level, whether it's the New York, the London, the New York AM, the New York lunch, the New York PM, the Asian, all of those high, lows, and 50% of those sessions, okay? And at the start of those sessions, that's when he says kill zones. These are the areas where you need to be looking to look for a setup at the beginning of each of those session blocks, simply because that's where the volume's going to come in, because there's a transition of like Asian into London, London into New York, New York AM into lunch hour into PM, and so on, you know. So again, when you go into those sessions, those time allowance areas, you're looking to see what the previous session key levels have been, and you're just waiting for sweeps, to be fair. Then the displacement, and when you do that on these 15-minute areas, okay, you look for the displacement back in. You can then define your anchor, which is your 15 minutes. You then wait for the condition of the 5-minute where we come back into a retrace. You need a separation candle on that 5 minutes between the 0 and the 50% equilibrium, okay? If you get a separation candle, that works in our favor simply because what we are doing is we know the momentum is dissipating. If you get a high to a low and the 5-minute comes straight in and touches the 50% of the equilibrium, there's too much momentum in that one candle, and there is every chance you could go and take out the previous high or the previous low, depending on if you're buying or selling, okay? When you get the separation candle and you get that little touch into there, that's when you're coming down to the key area, which is the 1 minute. And then if you're looking for the sell, which we are in this instance, again, what you're doing, you're looking for that bullish candle, and then you want it to be superseded by a bearish engulfing. And that's what we got here. And like I say, guys, I've done this day after day after day. You're not always going to get the 2%, okay? That you're just part and parcel of it. But what you're going to get is a good consistency where you can at least get to that take partial area of a 1-to-1. But what's even more consistent with this, it's the level of drawdown that you're going to see within this, because you've got in this instance, because it's a sell, you've got the bullish and then followed by the bearish engulfing. When you get the bearish engulfing candle and you're getting the sell, that tells you that one, the bearish engulfing is a momentum volume candle that is telling you it wants to be bearish, it wants to sell, it wants to go to the downside. And that's exactly what this done here, you know. And then again, we had a bullish candle here and a bearish momentum, and price just drove itself down into what we have at the moment, the 50% area, which again is the equilibrium. It is the area where where price just rebalances on itself. Okay, I hope that makes a little bit of sense. I was really looking forward to this morning, knowing that I was going to be up that little bit extra earlier and getting set up with these things. It is what it is. What's happened has happened. Like I say, I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to put it out raw. It's just going to show you that I'm open, honest, and what you see is what you get with me. Okay. So I'm going to pause the video. I don't want this video to go on for too long, simply because of what's happened this morning. Let's just take a look on the 15-minute on the Euro USD. Let's take a look on the GU. We're starting to get price to come back up. It's 5 minutes. Like I say, we are getting price to come back up, to be fair. We'll just add an alert into there. We should have that in the EU as well. Yeah. Well, it is what it is, guys. I've given you what my thought process is. We would have been in on an entry if I hadn't made that boo-boo with this silly 29% instead of 0.25. We can just go back and reset that, to be fair. Just take a look. Right, so again, I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back in a short while. Hopefully we may get a touch into the 50% of this EU and GU. Okay, again, with regards to where we need to get into that 50%, we can see imbalance. We've tagged into the imbalance and now we're reacting from it. So again, there's liquidity here and it's reacting from the wrong area. It hasn't came up to tap into this. The euro, again, we've got the like a big liquidity FU wick. But above that, we do have imbalance residing here. And we also have imbalance residing there. And then on the higher buy side, you've got liquidity down there, and you've also got liquidity there. And we'll come back into the GU before I sort of sign off. Yeah, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back in a short while. All right, so I thought I'd come back on. So the GU and the EU, I'm not going to enter any of the EU or GU today. Price is just melting away from us. You can see as we come down, it's just reacting. It's not going to come back and play with the mechanics of our system. The cards JPY again, it has done the take partial area. It's meandering about a bit. Like I say, I'll pause the video. We'll come back a little bit later and we'll just see whether, if the take partial area of the 1% of the 1 to 2 was good, and if it did actually come back out at the SL, or if we do get the 2%. Either way, if it does come and hit the SL, it just means that the take partial area was the area that we could have done. And again, I do apologize once again on the boo-boo that I had with this. It is what it is. Just what happens when you've got kids running around. So I'll be back in a short while, guys. Right, okay, guys, it's 10 a.m. now. We did come back in a little bit of drawdown. We did do the take partial area. Again, I did mess up. I was waiting for the engulfing sell-off. I thought I had it at 0.25%. I accidentally slipped of the finger, had 29%. I also hit the sell button, and I also didn't have the SL correct because, again, was around about 11 pips. I had it at 5, so it took me out straight away. So I'm not worrying about that. I'm just bringing that back up because obviously this was a mistake here. However, the entry was what we did have it as. Uh, Schoolboy error, like I say, I've been left in charge of set to get the kids sorted for school and things like that. So I shouldn't have really set a trade up for today, to be fair, knowing that I was doing that. But that's in hindsight now. Looking where we are at the minute, again, like I say, we did get into this 1% area. It has returned back. It's kept within its parameters still, and it's still in a little bit of profit at the minute, but there was certainly an area where you could have taken a partial. Okay, so I'll pause the video and we'll see we're actually going to get taken out on that SL, or if we'll actually come down to this 2% area. What I'm seeing at the minute is we've came up mitigating this small amount of fair value that I mentioned earlier on. It's touched into that. From this to this, there's liquidity above this area here. Other than that, if it reaches above this high, again, if it reaches above this high, it's going to take out that 100%. So what we're seeing liquidity-wise on this range at the moment, okay, we can see we had a fair value gap here. Okay, and it's touched into that, and it's rejecting off it at the moment. Okay, other than that, we have fair value here. Okay, so it could reach down into that, and then other than that, the other liquidity areas are the order block from there, and we can also include this here as well. So we've got liquidity there. And then other than that, you've got liquidity on this high and low area from the uptrend. And then obviously you've got the fair value gap, which is what was my ultimate target. So there is still liquidity on the sell side of here, which is here. Here we understand that there's the liquidity. In fact, it's here. You can see there's a little bit of fair value. It did mitigate into it and reacted from that area. However, this will be a liquidity low, so that there's a few bits of liquidity on this downside, to be fair. So there's a few bits here. Again, it's got every reason to want to push down into here, in my opinion. And you've also got the true day open as well, which is here. That there's the true day open, but you've also got the Asian low. So there's every reason for this to want to push down lower. We'll just have a look at the CAD JPY at the minute. The CAD is pretty strong. The JPY is weaker, so hence why we're having a little bit of consolidation at the minute. But that's where we are visually with regards to target areas of liquidity, whether it's imbalance, whether it's order blocks, or whether it just swings. We'll pause the video and we'll be back in due course. We'll see if any of these have actually been reached and tapped into. Okay, but as it stands, it has tried to come up. It's tested into this little bit of fair value here with this here. But if it does reach above all of this liquidity now, if it does reach above all of that, and it mitigates through all of this highs, lower highs, lower highs. If it reaches through this, the only other liquidity target is this on the far left, and it will break through and it will stop it out. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at visually. That's what I'm sort of watching price watch wise. Let's just see if we tap into any of these lower end liquidity areas or points of interest. Okay, hopefully you're finding this useful. even though we did do the boo-boo this morning. Okay, be back in a short while. Right, guys, there we have it. All but this morning when we did the boo-boo, we have attained the 2%. Will we go on and hit the 4.5%? What I'm going to do, I'm going to end the video now. Wherever I've posted this, whether it's in the Discord, the Facebook, or YouTube, what I'll do is I'll update whether we do hit the 4.5% a bit later. Again, going on what happened this morning, I put in the stupid thing of 29% rather than 0.25, and I hit the sell button. So we learned from that mistake. We'll just reset this, maybe later. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll reset that now, ready for when we set up next. So we'll just reset account. We'll just click on that. We'll reset it. So like I say, my boo-boo on that this morning, with the kids having to get up and having to sort them out, but we have hit the 2%. So again, as always, wherever you're watching, hit the emojis, hit the likes, share, go up to the site and go and see what we're doing if you're watching it elsewhere and you're not in the Discord. Okay, guys, 2% hit today, even though we did do that slight boo-boo. We can see we've came down, we've respected. If you look at these areas that I marked up, okay, respected, came in, touched, respected, came in, touched, respected, shot straight through, okay, shot straight through that there, and it's now touched and it's respecting this. Okay, so that's it for the London session EM, guys. We have hit the 2%. I'll end the video now. Like I said, drop your comments, feedback, anything you have, please put in. I'll respond to everybody. Okay, guys, 2% for this one. I'll see you all later.